Just before night falls, the temple glows. Spires the color of molten gold catch the last light. Gables shimmer, door frames gleam. From a window at Wat Tri Thotsathep, Warawihan in Bangkok, the chant of evening prayers drifts into the street. For generations, monks here have gathered at sunset to recite together. The complex was commissioned by Thailand's royal court, and its rituals once felt unshakable. But the cadence of devotion cannot drown out the shock that has seized this community. The man who led these prayers until recently is now at the heart of a scandal that questions not only his vows, but the moral standing of the faith's most visible guardians. The story has everything that rattles a society built on reverence for the robe: sex, money, lies, a woman in her mid-30s, and a knot of senior monks accused of breaking their celibacy and funneling large sums to her. For many of Thailand's Buddhists, who make up the vast majority of the country, this is not just gossip. It is a test of trust. If those tasked with discipline and restraint fail their own vows, what does that leave for the faithful who bow before them day after day? The first tremor hit at the end of June. The abbot of Wat Tri Thotsathep, known as Phra Thep Wachirapamak, was only the 10th leader in the temple's century and a half of history. In his 50s, he carried the weight of tradition. Then he resigned without warning and left the monkhood altogether. Reports quickly surfaced that he had slipped across the border to neighboring Laos. Behind the sudden exit was a police probe into a video, supposedly shot in a hotel room, showing the abbot with a woman. Investigators suspected links to another case where temple funds had allegedly been siphoned off with help from a female accomplice. Before they could question the abbot, he was gone. So the focus shifted to the woman seen in the clip. Her nickname is widely known in Thailand as Sika Golf. Sika is an honorific for devoted laywomen. Police searched her home, which local television described as lavish. Inside, they reportedly found multiple monk robes, 5 phones, and a trove of digital files. More than 80,000 photos and 5,000 videos, investigators said, some showing her in sexual acts with different monks. Authorities claimed she kept this archive to pressure the men. She was detained in mid-July on suspicion of extortion, money laundering, and receiving stolen property. From the devices and chat logs, a web of relationships emerged. At least 13 monks from 10 monasteries had ties to her, according to police. Many shed their robes soon after the revelations. The question now is not only whether vows were broken, but whether temple contributions were. One monk already faces a criminal case for misusing funds. The former abbot of a temple in Ayutthaya admitted transferring about 10,000 euros from a monastery account to the woman. He said he had previously given her more than 320,000 euros of his own money as a loan. He denied an affair. The woman confirmed that denial, even as other parts of the story point to intimacy with multiple clergy. In a televised interview aired the day of her arrest, she offered a timeline. She said her first relationship with a monk began in 2013, after a chat app connected her with an abbot in her home province of Phichit. Flirtation became an affair. Gifts followed, including a Mercedes-Benz SLK 200. Over the years, she drew close to other senior monks too. She spoke of sex in cars, private homes, and even monastic cells. At first, she said she felt guilty. In Thailand, a monk is not supposed to be touched by a woman, but the financial security was a powerful lure. She said she wanted enough money to build a better life for herself and her children. According to investigators, she later demanded about 200,000 euros from the abbot in Bangkok as support for a child she claimed was his. When he refused to pay, video clips featuring him circulated, and the scandal exploded into public view. She has since said the pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. What is factual and what is crafted for defense will be sorted by the courts. Another question remains murky. Where did the millions that reportedly arrived in her accounts actually go? Over time, she had little left. When she was detained, news outlets reported that her bank balance was barely above 200 euros. police say she admitted to spending large sums on illegal online gambling. As the narrative spread, much of the local media initially cast the monks as gullible and the woman as a siren. Headlines branded her with names like monk killer and temptress. In the upper house of Parliament, some voices even urged a new law to criminalize women who have sex with monks. To others, that reaction was the real scandal. A prominent columnist and religion analyst, Sanitsuda Ekachai, called it a mirror of deep misogyny in Thai Buddhism. She argued that doctrine has long framed women as threats to monastic purity. In this case, she wrote, responsibility is being pushed onto women, even though it was the monks who knowingly broke vows while claiming moral superiority. That, she said, is not just hypocrisy, it is deception. Her criticism widened to the structure of the faith's institutions. Thailand's monastic system, she argued, has turned inward, with little outside oversight. Abbots often control temple wealth with few checks. Prestige can be monetized. A famous monk can earn large fees for attending ceremonies. In that environment, greed finds room to grow while reform lags. The grim pattern of recent years seems to back her up. The abbot of a controversial sect has long been sought over suspected money laundering. A temple head in Nakhon Pathom was accused this year of taking nearly 8 million euros from monastery coffers. In Nakhon Nayok, during the pandemic, a senior monk allegedly diverted almost 3 million euros. And the most notorious example of excess lives online in old clips of the so-called jet-set monk, flashing cash aboard private jets. He was sentenced in 2010 on fraud and money laundering charges. The current scandal has already triggered formal punishment. King Maha Vajiralongkorn revoked 81 royal appointments and religious titles previously bestowed on 81 monks. The move was justified by reports of inappropriate conduct among clergy that left believers emotionally wounded and spiritually shaken. The public data suggests that is not an exaggeration. In a survey by the National Institute of Development Administration, about 58% of roughly 1,300 respondents said their trust in monks had fallen since the revelations. Nearly 1/3 said their confidence in Buddhism overall had declined. Almost half agreed that some monks are consumed by rank and riches. For scholars who study Thai religion and society, the fallout is tangible. Prakyarati Satasut at Thammasat University says the image of the monkhood has clearly suffered. Monks tell him that they now feel the sting of suspicious stares in public. Whether that chill will last is uncertain, yet he notes that the trend of eroding trust did not start this summer. It has been building for years. Real reform is hard to pull off in such a rigid hierarchy. Younger monks depend on the favor of elders. Because of that, internal criticism is rare, even when wrongdoing is obvious. He sees hope only if a generational shift reaches the top. With so many senior monks entangled, he asks who among the remaining leaders has the moral authority to drive genuine change. Thailand's largest English language daily sketched a similar conclusion. In an editorial, the Bangkok Post doubted that the monkhood or the state will voluntarily reshape a system that serves them well. If change comes, it said, it will be because the faithful refuse to keep feeding a broken structure with their donations. That is a radical suggestion in a culture where giving to temples is woven into life's milestones. The paper's message was blunt. If the clergy will not change, the laity must. Closing the wallet can be a first step. Back at Wat Tri Thotsathep, the evening chant continues, steady and melodic, as the city's skyline turns to silhouettes and the last glow fades from the gilded eaves. The prayers hold centuries of meaning, yet for many, the words now share space with uneasy questions. How many more secrets are buried behind monastery walls? How deep do the roots of greed run? Who is brave enough to demand transparency and endure the backlash? And what will it take to restore the credibility of a faith that teaches restraint while parts of its leadership chase power and pleasure? The case of Sika Golf is not just about a woman and a handful of monks. It is about institutions that grew powerful without the accountability to match. It is about the temptation that money brings when status can be converted into cash. It is about a public that is beginning to look the robe in the eye and ask hard questions. Courts will sift through chats, videos, and transactions. Politicians will posture. Editors will argue. But the lasting verdict may rest with ordinary believers who decide where their offerings go, and with a new generation of monks who choose whether to inherit the old ways or chart a different path. In the quiet after the prayers, the temple is still. The gold does not change, the marble steps stay cool underfoot, yet the air feels different. Trust is a fragile thing. Once cracked, it takes more than rituals to repair. For Thailand's Buddhists, the work ahead will not be in the glare of headlines, but in the slow building of integrity. If those in saffron can honor the vows they speak, and if the system can shine light where darkness once hid, then perhaps the chants that echo at dusk will again sound like certainty rather than solace.